All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. So the first thing that we gotta separate when it comes to a topic like this is fact from fiction, right? So obviously, at least to my knowledge, there aren't any people out there who possess the ability to control ice, right? Or control fire, control claws, razor sharp claws out of their hands, right? Maybe in the future we'll get to such a point where technology and science is to such a point that we can do stuff like that, but at least for now, right, that stuff crosses into fantasy, right, or is in fantasy. But with that being said, there are people out there who have extraordinary abilities, right, abilities that are out of the norm. And some people, I would say, cross over into the category of a sixth sense, right? Having some sort of sense or ability that goes beyond the five senses. So the first one, right? People that are born with extraordinary abilities or possess extraordinary abilities that are definitely not the norm, right? I'm sure you've heard of savants, right? People that I'm pretty sure are on the autism spectrum, right? And they're born with these abilities that are absolutely incredible. For example, some of them have photographic memories, right? Or again, they're able to read a book, for example, and recall every page of that book word for word, right? Or they're able to write down the entire book just having read it once, for example. Or people that see something in their day-to-day life and they're able to put pen to paper and recreate that exact scenario, right, or scene that they saw, detail for detail, to such a degree that it basically mirrors it, right? That it mirrors reality. There are a lot of people out there with these sort of abilities, right? And again, there's plenty of documentaries and things that you can look into regarding this subject, right? So people like that are obviously in existence. I'm sure, I don't know about you, but I've definitely come across a few people like that. People that just had, some sort of special gift about them. Even movies have been made about, these type of people. If you've ever seen the movie Rain Man, again, this movie dives into this topic. It talks about this topic. It's based around this topic, right? People that have these sort of abilities that are definitely not the norm. Now, when it comes to the topic of people who have a sixth sense, or they have a sense that goes beyond the physical, right? The first thing that comes to mind when I think about a topic like this is the fact that the visible light spectrum is such a small sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum that to say that everything we see, with our eyes is everything that exists is most likely not the case, right? Again, the electromagnetic spectrum, when you compare it to the visible light spectrum, it's so massive, and the visible light spectrum is such a small sliver, again, of that spectrum, that it just doesn't make sense to me to say that everything that we see with our eyes is everything that exists in the world, right? So there are people out there that you come across, I don't know if you can relate, that just have this special sense of intuition, or they have the ability to predict events, just step by step, events that are not very, I guess, predictable, or they have this ability about them that they're able to sense people's energy, or they can read a room just by entering it, or they're able to pick up on people's energy, right? And by that, I mean they're able to pick up their emotions. They're able to read them. Even though they might be displaying a different emotion, they're able to, I guess, decipher what they're truly feeling just by looking at them or by being around them, right? So I'll give you an example with this topic. A lot of people that I've met share a similar experience. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think that it's something that, the imagination made up, or, that they made up. It's just way too common to say that it's all just, an imagination of the brain or something like that. So the example is that a lot of people that I've met have said that in their childhood, they saw figures, right? Or they saw shadows, or they saw monsters moving around, and that they can clearly remember various instances in their childhood, some even in their adulthood, of seeing these things, right? Of seeing shadows or seeing monster-like things appear and then suddenly disappear. I just found that very interesting and very fascinating, that, all these people would have the same experience. There's even people, talking about these things in documentaries and videos here on YouTube, right? Obviously, it's very difficult to prove the validity of these claims, and obviously not everything is going to be true, but I just found it interesting that, some of these things can, I guess, they overlap with personal experience, right? Of having met people who say the same thing. So to just say that it's all made up or it's just a coincidence doesn't seem very likely to me, right? It doesn't seem like this is the case. So what do you guys think about this topic? Have you ever come across people, again, who had abilities that, were a little out there, that I guess could be considered as having a sixth sense or having some sort of supernatural ability? Again, whether it was just the ability to predict events, or, the ability to read people to such a degree, again, that they would be able to read their mood or their energy, or, they could tell a lot about a person just by looking at them, and they turned out to be right. Or they just had, again, a special intuition about them, that, having that gut feeling that turned out to be right most of the time, right? Have you ever met people like that? The brain is such an extraordinary organ, and it's still largely a mystery, right? There's a lot of things that we don't understand about the brain itself, about human consciousness, right? There's so many things to be discovered and unlocked about, this. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for listening. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I make videos on topics that fascinate me, whether it be a topic like this, a topic talking about the ancient architecture or the giants of the past. If you consider yourself open-minded and you can get triggered when somebody suggests something that's a little out there, if you can do your own research and draw your own conclusions, then this channel is perfect for you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.